Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Friday afternoon here in beautiful Sydney, and you know what that means? That means story time. Actually, that's not what Friday afternoon means, but it is story time, and I've got a juicy one for you today. So I stumbled across this article the other day, and it says, I spent my savings on an elite matchmaking agency only to meet an array of mediocre men. Now, I'm going to give you a quick look at the photo in case you haven't already seen the thumbnail. This is what we are dealing with here. All right. She thinks that she's too witty and clever, and she's amazed that she went to an elite matchmaking agency and they couldn't find her perfect dude. Oh, it's a good start, right? Glass of wine in hand, the man sitting opposite me in the restaurant was in full flow. While he was droning on about his work commitments, I zoned in and out, trying to work out how on earth I was going to get through this first date. I had expected to meet an eligible bachelor, but he'd turned out to be so boring that he made me want to stick asparagus up my nostrils. Graphic. This memory came flooding back when I read about Teresa Berkey, a city financier who last week successfully sued a Knightsbridge-based elite matchmaking service for the return of her £12,500 annual fee after they failed to find her the man of her dreams. Now, it says register for free to continue reading the articles. For whatever reason, I couldn't actually register. It was playing up. So I Googled her name, and I stumbled across an even better article from this lady called Kate Mulvey. I like to think of her as Kate Moldy because that's basically what she looks like. This is her thumbnail for that particular one. Yep, good old Kate. Definitely because of your intellect, not because of anything else that you're single. And it gets better. Now, stay with me, guys. Look, this article probably is going to take me about 5 to 7 minutes to read, but it is totally worth hanging around for. You're going to love this. A recent study found men simply can't handle it if a woman outshines them. Kate believes this is why she's still single. She's a published author and can speak multiple languages. She's lost count of times she's been rejected for being witty and clever. Now, most of this is written by her, so I'm actually going to do a lot of it in what I imagine her voice would sound like to most people. 3 months ago, I went to Italy with my then boyfriend, Philip. As we were checking into the hotel, I struck up a conversation with the receptionist in Italian, just one of the 5 languages I speak. But while I was enjoying myself chatting away, it became clear that Philip most certainly was not. He shuffled from foot to foot, muttered something under his breath, and rolled his eyes like a stroppy teenager. Then in the lift, he turned on me. I was wondering when you were going to let me join your conversation, he snapped. I tried to laugh it off, but I knew this was the beginning of yet another argument. You always have to be the star of the show, he continued in our bedroom as he began to systematically work his way through the minibar. Yeah, I'd be drinking too if I was hanging out in a room with you. Apparently, I was argumentative, a know-all and an intellectual snob. What had I done? It should be depressingly obvious. I had dared to dent his fragile male ego. By speaking in a language Philip didn't know, I'd managed to make him, a successful writer 10 years my senior, feel small. How selfish of me to embarrass him in public with my linguistic prowess. Like so many of the men I've dated. So you've dated a lot then. Thanks for letting us know that, Kate. Not that I'm surprised. It was clear he expected me to play second fiddle to him at all times. It wasn't the first time we'd rowed about such things. One night we ended up arguing over a BBC 4 documentary on the origins of jazz. When he became annoyed that his attempts to outsmart my knowledge on the subject failed, he started singing loudly to drown me out altogether. Sounds like this dude's pretty smart, actually. But the pointless fight over the receptionist was the straw that broke the camel's back. Needless to say, our year-long romance didn't last long beyond the flight home. I was reminded of our contretemps last week when research in the APA Journal of Personality and Social Psychology confirmed what I'd always expected. That men simply can't handle it if a woman outshines them. According to the study, rather than bask in the reflected glory of a partner's success, men feel worse about themselves. Well, Kate, I would be willing to put some serious cash down to say that that article in the APA Journal of Personality and Social Psychology was written by a bunch of feminist spastics. A lot of men feel threatened if a woman outshines them, says Professor, wait for it, Professor Sandy Mann, psychologist and author of Hiding What We Feel and Saying What We Don't Feel. It harks back to caveman days when men had to provide the resources. If a woman is too intelligent, a man subconsciously thinks she's taking over his role. And that's her, of course, standing looking very educated, very bilingual, or should I say multilingual. Right, such a strong, independent, smart, beautiful, courageous woman. For me, this is stating the blindingly obvious. I've lost count of the times men have rejected or insulted me simply because I was brighter, wittier, or cleverer than they are. Well, Kate, just to let you know, it's actually more clever, not cleverer. They have called me intimidating, scary, difficult, and opinionated. Translated, that means you are too clever and I don't like it. Well, Kate, men are pretty honest type of creatures. We like to cut to the chase. We like to tell people exactly what we think, right? And that's why people appreciate working with us, because we're honest and we don't fuck around. We simply just say, this is what I think. This is the fact of the matter. If you don't like it, then I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but it is how it is. And Kate, if they've called you intimidating, scary, difficult, and opinionated, then I'd say the real answer to what you are is E. All of the above. I'll continue. An older male friend, supposedly tired of me dominating dinner party conversation, even wagged his podgy finger and told me I would never get married because I was too confident and demanding. Well, sounds like your older male friend is pretty well spot on the mark. Then there was my dalliance with the criminal lawyer who, whenever we went to a party, criticized my hair, weight, and choice of outfit before we set off. He was so terrified I might outshine him socially, he made sure I felt as bad as possible before I'd even got out the door. Well, I can understand the criticizing of the hair, Kate, because if that's your haircut, then I don't know that I'd want to be seen at a dinner party with you in that particular state also. As far as I'm concerned, a dinner party isn't complete without a bit of intellectual tussle during dessert. So what you're saying is a dinner party isn't complete without you arguing with people and trying to prove your point while they're trying to enjoy some fucking ice cream. I'm convinced that the reason I'm still booking a table for one instead of settling down with a significant other is not because I'm a year off 50. Not because I'm a year off turning 50, but because men are so threatened by my intelligence. I might have a successful career as an author and broadcaster, but I've never been engaged, let alone married, and my longest relationship lasted 7 years. Sometimes I wonder if it isn't all my father's fault. All right, Kate, so it's your dad's fault now, is it? Let's see how you're going to justify this one. Sometimes I wonder if it isn't all my father's fault. Ever since I could talk, he encouraged me to hold my own in an argument, but little did he know as he exhorted to me to get a good degree or add yet another language to my repertoire. He was reducing my chances of getting hitched altogether. Yeah, that's right. It's not your fault, is it, Kate? It's not that you're too obnoxious and annoying and not very attractive these days. It's all your dad's fault for trying to hope for the best for his daughter. Okay, got it. As a child, I went to one of Britain's most academic girls' schools, Godolphin and Latimer, where I got 3 top A levels, then breezed through an Italian and French degree at the University of Kent, getting a 2-1, while keeping up conversational German on the side. I grew into a bright and confident young woman, keen to flex my intellectual muscles and to never let a man get the last word just because of his sex. Here we go. Here's educated Kate, pictured in 2000. She's always loved to read, always loved reading to broaden her mind on various subjects. Now, guys, so she's writing this article now complaining that she's still single, and this particular picture is from 18 years ago. Right, 18 years ago. That's Kate 18 years ago. Just saying. If she didn't realize what was happening 18 years ago, and I'm just saying, especially you, for those of you guys who are Wesley Snipes fan, you are going to get this reference immediately. But she has smashed through that wall like she was driving the money train. My bedside table is always buckled beneath the weight of substantial, intellectually challenging books. I devour cultural documentaries and love nothing more than taking another evening class. Spanish, the most recent, philosophy set to be the next. As far as I'm concerned, a dinner party isn't complete without a bit of an intellectual tussle during dessert, whether it be on the finer points of Ed Miliband taking on the trade unions, or President Obama playing a high-stakes game with President Putin over Syria. But little did I know that by honing my neurons and showing my intellectual rigor, I was scuppering my chances of romantic success. The backlash against my brain power began in earnest in my 20s when I was a struggling writer going out with Sebastian, a high-flying city trader. Initially, he loved dating a writer even, or perhaps particularly a constantly broke one. And he had to rescue me by paying for everything. But as my career and social life suddenly took off, his affections turned to resentment. My career entailed a round of seminars, high-profile dinners, and exciting parties. Sebastian might have made million-pound deals, but he couldn't handle being my +1. After 3 years, he told me he'd met someone who needed him. Since then, relationship after relationship has imploded like a sinking souffle. Sinking souffle. I'm just like I'm just picturing a souffle just like all puffed up and ready and fresh out of the oven, just going, just like sinking and imploding. It was always the same. At first, men loved my wit and intelligence. You're such a breath of fresh air. I love talking to you. You're the first woman I've met who stimulates me, they'd trill. No sooner had we become an item, however, their behavior would change. The more confident I became, the more insecure it made them. So you mean the more controlling and narcissistic you became, the more they didn't want to be with you. Okay, I've got the picture there. One boyfriend told my father he hated the way I never used short words when a lengthy one would do. Another would turn away whenever I started to speak. When I asked him why he didn't listen to me, he said without a hint of irony, everyone else listens to you on the radio, so why should I? I shouldn't have to dumb down my intelligence or omit to mention my achievements just to make myself more attractive. So what she's saying is she shouldn't have to pretend that she's a normal human being, and she shouldn't have to not talk about all of her degrees and all of her languages that she speaks and all of these things that she's achieved and all of her career achievements, right? She shouldn't have to talk about those. She should have to just not say anything about those so that people will actually like her. Well, maybe it makes you sound a little bit pompous and self-important, which is clearly exactly what you are. My boyfriends would speak over me at dinner parties, put me down in public, tell me my books, of which I have published 8, were just stocking fillers. Well, by the sounds of what I've heard so far from you, Miss Kate Mulvey, aka Kate Moldy, I'd say that they sound exactly like stocking fillers. I wouldn't want to read them if they're anything like the way you speak, that's for damn sure. Um, Tell me my books, of which I've published 8, were just stocking fillers or simply ask me to keep stum. In my late 30s, I decided this would be easily remedied by dating older men. Surely, I thought, an aging alpha male secure in his achievements would not be jealous of his girlfriend's accomplishments. Sadly, I couldn't have been more wrong. Julian, a handsome 61-year-old lawyer, was a case in point. One night, he invited me to meet some of his old friends in Geneva. As I sat there tucking onto fondue, bourguignon, and making jokes in French, he lashed out, jealous at not being the one getting the laughs. Kate's friends are all pretentious wannabes or sad has-beens, he hissed, desperate to bring me down a peg or two. I felt my eyes prick with tears. We broke up soon after, and he went on to marry an unthreatening woman with tidy hair and the personality of a wet rag. And that's the thing. When it comes to love and marriage, I've watched with depressing regularity so many brilliant men choose beautiful but dull women. Well, Kate, for someone so educated and someone so intelligent and so intellectual, it's strikingly strange to me that you haven't yet worked out that men like attractive women, not fucking annoying women. As a friend of mine said the other week, Kate, you are far more likely to get ahead romantically if you push your cleavage rather than your opinions in a man's face. Great advice. Now, I don't know that I'd be that blunt with Kate because I really don't care for her outcomes. But perhaps she should listen to a bit of sage advice because that was very, very good advice. Indeed. Perhaps she is right, but it's too late for me to change. Like a lot of career women, after years of looking after myself, I've learned to see men not as protectors, but competitors. Unlike the canny girls who learn how to flirt with men from an early age, the brainy ones like me were too busy with their books to master the art of flattery. Instead, we challenge rather than charm. We control rather than compromise. There it is. There's the truth coming out. You're a controlling, narcissistic piece of work. We control rather than compromise. No wonder men find it hard to like us. So you're surprised that men find it hard to like you when you're controlling and manipulative? Okay. Unlike the canny girls who learn how to flirt with men from an early age, the brainy ones like me were too busy with their books to master the art. Sorry, I just read that bit. Fucking hell. Sometimes I wonder if the confidence signals I'm giving out are at odds with what is going on inside. I long to be loved, but I'm too scared to be vulnerable. I use my sharp mind to protect my all-too-soft heart against yet further rejection. I tell myself I shouldn't have to dumb down my intelligence or omit to mention my achievements just to make myself more attractive. But as I watch a lot of clever women morph into Stepford wives at the merest whiff of testosterone, I wonder whether, by refusing to show any chinks in my intellectual armor, I'm the one who is losing out. I was sorely tempted to join the giggly man-pleasers last week as I watched a friend of mine, a 48-year-old, highly educated PR executive, swipe a potential suitor from under my nose with the dumb blonde act. While I ribbed and joshed with him, engaging in a battle of equals, she battered her eyelids and told him in a breathy voice how young and attractive he looked. She ended up with a glass. She ended up with a glass of champagne and an invitation to dinner. I stood there glumly nursing an empty glass. I reassured myself that I'd preserved my dignity, but I couldn't help but wonder if, once again, my brain might have done too brilliant a job of protecting my heart. Some names have been changed. Kate Mulvey's book, The Accidental Singleton, A Humorous Guide to the Art of Being Single in Midlife, is out on October 1. So I'm going to give my commentary now, guys, and in the meantime, smash that thumbs up. Kate Mulvey's book, The Accidental Singleton, A Humorous Guide to the Art of Being Single in Midlife. Well, it certainly does sound humorous. And anything that you could probably put forward is probably pretty funny, because you are not someone to be giving advice to anyone on the art of singleton. And you like to control, right? You like to control others. So you're manipulative and narcissistic and controlling. And let me just get back and show you that photo of her again, for those of you who missed it before, and I've also put it in the thumbnail. This is this chick here. I'm going to do a close-up this time for you. That's her right there. That's Kate. That's the girl who is too clever and witty. That's the girl who can't get a date because men find her too threatening and intimidating. That's the girl who has smashed the wall at the speed of a sniper bullet at short range. So I'm feeling like it's going to take about 50 years for feminists to realize that they fucked up by thinking they deserved something just because they're intelligent, just because they got 2 degrees, just because they speak 5 languages and they take Spanish classes after hours and they engage in conversational German just for shits and gigs, right? And I don't blame these dudes for calling you all of these names, like obnoxious and I mean, there's just so many names I could throw away, but you know, I'm not going to do that because that's not what I'm all about. I'm just reading the article and telling you what I think about the entitlement of this 50-year-old wall-smashed person who is not going to get anywhere in the dating world anytime soon because of her entitled attitude, because of her ignorance, because of her blatant and just gobsmacking sense of deservingness to the perfect bachelor who's just going to acquiesce to her demands but also going to be her equal. Sorry, sweetheart, Kate Mulvey, it doesn't work that way. I have put the articles in the link below, guys, and if you want to donate, feel free to head on over to PayPal, Patreon, or donate via crypto. And I've got 85 of you in the live chat. I think this is the most I've ever had in the live chat at one time. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. I really appreciate it. Share this video with absolutely everyone that you think will get a kick out of it, and perhaps a couple of 50-year-old ladies that that fucked up or know that their friends fucked up, so they can see how we really perceive things. At the end of the day, ladies, we want titties and ass. We want someone with a nice face. We want someone who's not a complete bitch. And apparently Kate brings none of these to the table. So, I don't know. And even if she does bring the titties and ass to the table, I'm sorry, but I can find much younger, much more palatable people as human beings to appreciate their titties and ass. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for swinging by. I really appreciate it. I'm going to kick off on the weekend now and go home and relax for a bit. Have a, I was going to say a drink of Sydney cider, and I went to slip and say Sydney soy, but I was like, nah, none of that happening up in here. No soy milk for this male. And in case you're wondering, men, this is what masculinity looks like right here. Right? These grays, this ginger, this bald head, all of that is what masculinity looks like. Guys, hope you enjoyed. Leave your comments after this video, live video publishes, and I look forward to catching you in the next video. Peace, brothers.